Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are. Welcome. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this first edition of Kenya-US Tech Forum. And so we are going to start with a word of prayer. I ask you all to bow down for a word of prayer. And I pray. Lord Father, thank you for this wonderful opportunity that you've given to us, Lord. As we go inside this forum, Lord, we ask your Father that you may be with us, that you may take care of us. Let us have a wonderful discussion. Forward to a very fruitful discussion. While we are sitting in prayer and believe. Amen. I hope I'm audible enough. If you can hear me, please just show me by just raising up your hands. Are you able to hear me, everyone? Okay. So let me first, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let me first start by welcoming you all to this first edition of Kenya-US Forum. And also want to recognize our panelists who are already here with us. And so in the next 2 hours, we are going to discuss, we are going to have a discussion about Tech Forum, and we are going to have 2 sets of panelists. The first one being led by 3 people, Ambassador Thomas Kwaka, and then Raghavendra Anshu, and Robert Ngonga. The second one will be Professor Peter Kanyi Wamuyu, Oscar Okwero, Mason Bassett, and Honorable James Reggae. So this panelist will come after in a bit. And so we are going to start by telling you that this forum is meant to look at 2 important discussion or topic of discussions, which is unlocking the opportunities in the tech industry. The second one is exploring the depths of machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and cybersecurity. So it's going to be a wonderful discussion. I look forward to having a wonderful discussion among the panelists, and they're going to share. So the panelists are a collection of industry experts and professionals in technology or IT world, and they're going to share the insight in either unlocking the opportunities in tech industries or exploring the depths of machine learning, AI, data analytics, and cybersecurity. Now, this forum is sponsored by Sevenet. And so what is Sevenet? Sevenet is a tech company registered in Washington State, US, having a presence in East Africa, Kenya, Nairobi. So Sevenet is a tech company which has 3 main products. One is data analytics, which is a training platform for adults who want to either get into tech, or want to change career, or want to start a whole new career, or want to get this technology knowledge to complement what they're already doing. So this training, basically, as much as we have different people from different backgrounds, we are tailoring this training to meet the African needs. So this training is done for immigrants, mostly who are based in the US, and even Africans based in Kenya. So in East Africa and Kenya for that reason. So we have two types of training. One is done here, the other one is done in Africa. I mean, and this should be very clear. We're just tailoring it to make to meet the needs of the African immigrants. But of course, in this class, we have people from diverse background. We have people from different backgrounds who are also part of our class. Now, the second one is coding for kids. So this is kind of a training that's meant for kids who are about kids and teens from 5 years up to 16 years. So they do their training that happens. Of course, if you go to our website, you're able to get more information. And of course, we'll ask you to either make a call or visit our website. The last is a platform. The last one of the products that's offered by Sevenet is a platform that connects you with opportunities. So this is a platform that gives you information you may need to navigate within a given environment. So it provides you information, products, and services. And of course, it has in marketplace, which is a like online hub that you can be able to find all the resources that you may need. And so I want to take this opportunity to allow you to welcome you all, and of course to launch this forum officially. And I will end there and invite Aisha to give us some guidelines before we start this forum. Thank you, and I look forward to having a fruitful discussion. Back to you, Aisha.
Thank you very much, Omar, for the wonderful welcome. I welcome all of you all to the session. Just a little bit of guidelines in terms of how we expect the event to roll out. So as Omar mentioned, we're going to have two panel discussions, and each panel will be for about 40 minutes. We'll have Q&A sessions in between, and feel free to ask questions as the panelists go ahead with the discussions. You can post your questions on the chat. If you're not speaking or asking a question, please keep yourself muted so that we avoid any disruptions. Turn off your video if you're not panelists so that we're also able to focus on the key speakers for the day. The sessions are being recorded live on social media and also on other platforms. So I hope you all consent to that. And the Zoom link will be shared on the chat as well. The forum is free for all. So if you have any interested parties who are not able to register in good time, feel free to share the link with them. Karibuni sana, welcome all to the Kenya USA Tech Forum. I pass the baton to Grace, who will be, yeah, sure. Thank you, Ben, for your suggestion. We will turn the chime off. So Grace is a nation media journalist, will be moderating the sessions today. So Grace, welcome on board, over to you.
Thank you, Aisha. I'm looking forward to having a great time in this panel. So as Omar said, we'll be having two panels. The first one will be about unlocking opportunities in the tech industry. We'll be having the panel with three great tech and great tech minds. The first of which is Ambassador Thomas Kwaka. He's a consul general in Los Angeles. Then we have a data analyst, Raghuvendra Anshu, and Robert Ngonga, the trade attaché at the Kenya Embassy. So welcome, feel very welcome, my panelists. Let me see if they are all in the house.
A point of information.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be okay to have everybody introduce themselves?
Correct. We could go ahead and do that.
Or you introduce them.
Yes, we can introduce ourselves. Maybe if Thomas Kwaka is in the house. Victor. Ambassador, you can start by introducing yourself.
Personally, I only know two people, Ben Roberts and Oscar Cuero.
Is Ambassador Kwaka in the house? Then we can move on to Robert Ngonga. Who is in the house? You can introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. And also, thank you very much for the participants who have logged in. And I thank Sevenet for this opportunity to invite the embassy to participate in this event. I'm Robert Ngong. I'm a trader attaché at the Kenya Embassy based in Washington, D.C. I'm not a tech expert, but I'm a trade development expert. But my role at the embassy actually sometimes overlaps, and I oversee so many activities, including the tech sector, which Kenya is trying to attract, and also Kenya is also a hub to the tech in the region. So I just wish to take this opportunity to say that my role at the embassy is to link. My role at the embassy is to give a network and create networks between the tech companies and our own economy, which is Kenya. And I look forward to interacting with you in this session and also the questions that will arise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ngonga. Mr. Anshu, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity. I hope I'm clear to everyone. Yes. Okay. So thank you all the panelists and the audiences which have joined today's session. My name is Raghvendra Anshu. I am a data analyst by profession, and I have been into this tech industry from last almost 5 years now. And like my area of expertise lies mostly in SQL, Excel, Tableau, Power BI, and prompt engineering. Yeah, so I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to share my views and knowledge in today's session. So yeah, let's see. And I'm very excited in the session forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa Rege, you'll be in the second panel, so I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself at the second panel. So I have a question for Robert Ngonga. You've talked about being the link between companies, tech companies, and Kenya. What's your take on how international collaborations and partnerships can be leveraged to further boost the tech industry in Kenya?
Okay, thank you very much, Grace, for the opportunity. And just to highlight on the collaboration actually can be both at the international level and also at the national level. But collaboration at the international level, at the tech value chains. And maybe in the course of just expanding on some of these, I'll be giving examples of some of the initiatives that are taking place in this space, so that those who wish to invest or those who wish to come to this sector can know that some of the existing initiatives are working. And I would say that the collaboration at tech value chain, some of the examples that I would give is that Equity Bank has signed an ambitious customer business agreement with MasterCard aimed at giving customers a broad range of benefits from a wide selection of MasterCard payment options. And these are ranging from world and world elite corporate cards. We are talking about corporate cards, virtual cards, and in addition, customers will be able to perform a range of payments, including cross-border remittance, e-commerce, QR, and also on tap phone solutions. And also another existing initiative on the value chain approach is the Diamond Trust Bank that have forged a partnership with the MasterCard. And this offers, this gives actually DTB to offer payment cards to tech-enabled companies that are including even fintechs in Kenya. And this gives them an opportunity to issue their own propositions using DTB. DTB is actually MasterCard technology. And also, there are also application programming interfaces which we can use to upscale existing strengths. And I could give an example that Safaricom is entering into a partnership with Apple to integrate M-Pesa and its PayPal platform, the PayPal platform for Apple. And this aims at extending M-Pesa's transactional reach globally. And this will actually expand the M-Pesa payments actually globally. Another collaboration that explore is actually collaborating with young innovators. So, and one of the existing initiatives that I would point out is the initiative between Pingo and EcoBank, in which they have launched a neobank. And this is actually launched by very young people in their 20s, and it's the first of its kind in the East African region. And another initiative which we can support is also supporting fintech startups. And an initiative that Visa has announced, the launch of new Visa African FinTech Accelerator Program. And this to enable these startups to acquire the expertise, to acquire the connections, to acquire the technology, also to acquire the investment funding part of it. We are also seeing some of the collaboration between fintech companies, telecommunication providers, and smartphone manufacturers. And one of the key drivers of the uptake of fintech will be the spread of the smartphones within the continent. And in a sense, this is building the foundations that have been laid by highly successful initiative like the M-Pesa services, which launched their money transfer platforms actually on analog forms. And you can see that supporting also local initiative in addressing the local problems is also key. Like recently, you heard that a Kenyan IT practitioner has actually built an AI-powered superpower lawyer with knowledge of all Kenyan laws. So one can access the application through, it's called Wakili. And you can access this application through your smartphones, through your laptops, or even through your desktop. And this application identifies for you the aspects of the law, the statutes that you might require in any piece of legislation that you are looking support for. So supporting some of this initiative is also very important. But lastly, I would say that diaspora is a main game changer, and with their connections, financial strength, knowledge, and skills, they have a very important role to introduce capitalists to some of our markets, collaborate with our experts, and also to share global experiences in implementing some of these solutions. In addition, we need collaboration between the US tech companies, the Kenyan tech companies, especially the ones that are at the SME levels, because most of our enterprises are actually at the SME level. So I think I would stop at that. Thank you very much.
It's interesting to know that there's so many innovations that are taking place that we have no idea about, especially the AI lawyer. Thank you very much for that. I can see Ambassador Kwaka has joined us. You can introduce yourself, and then as you introduce yourself, tell us, I know you have a very deep background with creative, so tell us a bit about how the creative industry can intersect with technology. Go ahead, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, everybody, and good morning from Los Angeles, California. Grace, nice to see you. It's been a while. Engineer Rege, one of my mentors. Thank you very much for having you here, and I'm looking forward to sup from your knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Kenya is committed to ensuring that the creative economy is well mainstreamed into the value chains, the commercial value chains that are there. Sorry, I'm going into a function and I'm trying to get my way around in case you hear some noises at the back. But I would like to thank everybody, especially the creatives who are coming up with innovative ways and creative ways to be able to fit into the world value chain. AI, of course, as we speak, is going to be a great, great game changer. Animation is a great game changer. And also video and value on demand is actually going to be also very, very big. Think about it this way. Africa, the mean age for Africa is 19. And the biggest consumption method that they have for anything is actually the mobile phone. And this actually creates a great, great market for any product that might want to go into Africa and to go into the countries that are around there. Eastern Central Africa, 720 million people. Netflix worldwide, 230 million people. If you think about it, if we can get half of those people on a platform, then definitely we have a winning product that we're able to put out there. So I think the creative economy is going to play a very, very big role because that is the only product that will have to be reinvented. While everything else will have to be AI, this particular one will have to continue being reinvented because the consumption methods will always continue and will always change. So for and on behalf of the Kenya Consulate in LA, we are standing behind the creatives, especially those with products that can be pushed or produced and presented in this market and to the world. And we are ready to collaborate on any project that is there. Thank you very much.
Before we let you go, I have a final question for you. Technology has become a very critical component of international diplomacy. And how do you believe your experience in the creative industry can be leveraged, not only to strengthen the diplomatic ties, but also promote cultural exchange, and foster innovation in the tech industry?
All right, very wonderful and very technical question. It was written by a techie. But maybe Uncle Reggie is the one who wrote that one. It sounds very deep. But I think one of the things that what we call cultural diplomacy is bringing to the table is what we call soft power. And soft power every time is there because we are able to influence people's minds, people's decisions, and people's reactions to everything by them understanding our culture. And by them being able to understand our culture, we are able to sit around a table and be able to negotiate on everything else that is there. So the creative economy and technology is playing a very, very big role in diplomacy worldwide. And it's the platform that the next generation, Generation Alpha, is going to use to communicate and to be able to talk to everybody and interact. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ambassador. I'll go back to Mr. Robert Ngonga. We've talked about a lot of tech innovations and collaborations between Kenya and American companies. I wanted to find out what incentives and initiatives are in place to attract the American tech companies to invest and partner with Kenyan counterparts.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. There are supportive regulations, policies, and I would combine them with the incentives because some of the incentives are built around policy and also legislative framework. So some of the supportive regulations are, you can remember the government of Kenya in 2022 launched a 10-year information technology digital master plan. And this digital master plan is supposed to go up to 2032. It's supposed to align with the global technological advancement and also enhance the rise of Kenya's digital economy. And the digital master plan identifies 4 key pillars, and that is the digital infrastructure, which the government has invested a lot on. It also focuses on the digital services, digital management, digital skills, and also driving digital innovation for entrepreneurship. And earlier on, there was the anti-national broadband strategy, which was supposed to run from 2018 to the end of this year. And this strategy is aimed at transforming Kenya into a broad-based economy through the provision of quality broadband services to all citizens in the country. And maybe for information purposes, there are currently 4 undersea fiber optic cables that landed off at the coast of Kenya, and this is Seacom, Teams, Easy, and Lion 2, which are the core drivers of fixed internet penetration in the country, making it one of the highest and fastest and also most reliable internet within the region. The national broadband strategy had envisioned Kenya to be where a user in the remotest part of the country can connect with other users within and also outside the country at the click of a button. And it's also supposed to enable people to transact, interact over fast, reliable, secure, and affordable internet connection. And also, in August this year, Kenya removed the 30% local shareholding requirements for companies providing ICT services. And it is expected that this move will encourage those people who want to enter actually in this sector. And also, in addition to that, this year, the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Eli Dowale, also inaugurated the Information, Communication and Digital Economy Sector Working Group on Policy and Legislative Reform. And this sector working group will examine the existing policy. It will examine the legislative, institutional, administrative, and operational structures, in addition to the systems and also strategies, and recommend comprehensive reforms in the sector. So I think the output that will come from this sector working group will provide a way forward, and also reforms that are needed in the ICT sector, inform some of the strategies of attracting investment in this sector. Maybe it will open up more incentives and also create more opportunities within the sectors. the Kenya government also continues to commit a lot of resources to the ICT sector over the years. This financial year, a total of 109.6 million US dollars was allocated to the ICT sector. And in addition, Konza City has been designated as a special economic zone. And there are a number of incentives that come when you operate under the special economic zone, like a 10-year tax holiday. There's duty exemption, there's exemption on VAT for the inputs that a company uses. And other several incentives that come with a special economic zone. And also, access and use of smartphones remain a key driver to the digital transformation. And we are getting good news that Kenya Assembly, there's an assembly plan spearheaded by the government that will soon roll out smartphones that will be available at $40 per piece. And this is not expected not only to boost mobile and internet penetration rate, but also to transform the digital space. There are also the general initiatives that the government is trying to put in place to improve the business environment. The company registration you can do from the comfort of where you are. There's also a one-stop shop for investors which they can go to, and that is Kenya Investment Authority, better known as Ken Invest. We also have got protection of investors within our law, and there are also fiscal and non-fiscal incentives which are inbuilt within our taxation law. So there are quite a number. Maybe some I would wait for the questions on the clarifications that one would need. Thank you very much. Back to you, Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Ngonga. There's a follow-up question in the chat. Joshua of Kenya Code University, explain the 30% requirement in more detail.
Okay, thank you very much. I would say that initially, when you want to operate an ICT company in Kenya, you are required to have 30% local ownership. But with the removal of that provision, that means an investor can go to Kenya 100%. So you don't need to have a local partner. Thank you.
Okay, there's also another question. Anyone can take it from the panel. James Njoroge is asking, is Kenya more of an IT consumer than an IT innovator when it comes to technological advancements and innovations? Any of the panelists can answer James Njoroge.
Maybe just come up again. I didn't get it exactly.
Okay, let me repeat that. Is Kenya more of an IT consumer than an IT innovator when it comes to tech advancements and innovation?
Okay, maybe I could just jump on it, and maybe if my colleague has something to add. Kenya is being positioned as a tech hub, and even venture capitalists are actually moving to Kenya because of the skills available and also the innovations that they are seeing are taking place in Kenya. And these innovations are actually across sectors. They're in fintech, they're agri-tech, they're in the medical field. Actually, a number of areas. So we are not just consumers, but we are also innovators. That's why we are attracting even the multinationals to set up their base in Kenya, that means they have identified the local skills which can help them to innovate in addressing some of the local and also the global challenges. And this will continue for some time. I don't have the data exactly, but last year, actually Kenya attracted the highest number of fintechs within the region. So we should consider ourselves as we are consuming, but we are also innovating. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm skimming through the chat and I can see it's very vibrant. I'll be reading your comments after this session. We now want to give space for Mr. Anshu to answer some of our questions as well, so that you don't bombard Mr. Ngonga with all your questions. So welcome, Mr. Anshu. I have a question for you. As a data analyst, how can you share some insights into the emerging trends and technologies that pertain to data analytics, and what should we watch out for?
Yeah, okay. So certainly data analytics has undeniably emerged as a critical catalyst for the growth and innovation of tech industry. Over the last few years, several trends and technologies have taken place, and attention and they are poised to reshape the landscape of data analytics. Okay, so the first very much emerging trends which we find generally is artificial intelligence and machine learning integration. So actually the integration of AI and machine learning algorithms into data analytics processes is like it is revolutionizing the field of data analytics, and data analysts needs to adapt at leveraging these technologies to extract valuable insights from vast and complex data sets. For instance, the implementation of deep learning models for natural language processing has enabled sentiment analysis of customer reviews, providing valuable insights into consumer preference and behavior. The second most emerging trend is edge computing and Internet of Things data analysis. Okay, with the proliferation of IoT devices, there is a massive influx of data generated at the edge. Now, data analysts need to focus on processing the data in real time to derive actionable insights. Okay, the third most emerging trend, which I feel, is big data and cloud computing. The exponential growth of data has made it very necessary to adopt scalable and efficient storage and process solutions. So data analysts should be well versed in cloud-based analytics platforms that enables seamless processing of a large data set. For example, the use of cloud-based data warehouse and data lakes allows the storage and analysis of massive data sets, facilitating informed decision-making in various industries. The next most emerging trend is data privacy and security. As data becomes increasingly valuable, ensuring its privacy and security is very important. So as a data analyst, we need to be knowledgeable about evolving regulations and having best practices in data privacy to ensure compliance. Let me give an example. Implementing differential privacy techniques to anonymize data while maintaining its analytical value is crucial in maintaining customer trust and complying with data protection regulations. So the next technology which we feel is important is data visualization and storytelling. So effective data visualization and storytelling techniques are very essential for conveying complex insights to the stakeholders. As a data analyst, we should focus on using advanced visualization tools and techniques to communicate data-driven narratives effectively. Like interactive dashboards and infographics can facilitate the interpretation of complex data for executives, enabling them to make informed decision to make informed business decisions. Okay, the next and the last but not the least trending insights or the trending technologies are predictive and prescriptive analytics. Okay, moving beyond descriptive analytics, predictive and prescriptive analysis are gaining prominence. Data analysts should be proficient in utilizing advanced statistical modeling and optimization techniques to forecast future trends and recommend actionable insights. Like predictive analytics can be used in financial sector for risk assessment, while prescriptive analytics can help in optimizing supply chain management. Now, these emerging trends and technologies in data analytics presents numerous opportunities for professionals, including roles such as AI data analyst, IoT data analyst, cloud data engineer, data privacy consultant, data visualization specialist, and predictive analytics manager. So embracing these trends and mastering associated technologies will enable data analysts to contribute significantly to the tech industry's growth and innovation, fostering a data-driven culture that empowers organization to make informed and strategic decisions. So this is what I wanted to say about the question you have asked. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very comprehensive. I know there's some startups and there are people who want to start startups part of this meeting. And I'd like to ask you, I know it's very important. You've talked about privacy, data privacy, but I'd still like to take you back to that. Data, as you said, is the new gold. And how has data privacy and ethical use of data affected how data is collected and analyzed and stored and all that?
Yeah, so okay, so certainly so the evolving role of a data analyst is to ensure responsible and ethical use of data. Okay, so like we can follow some of the methods or some of the ways to do that. The first most effective way is adherence to regulations. Okay, so staying updated with data protection laws like GDPR and CCPA, and implementing practices such as data anonymization to protect consumer privacy is one of the best method to ensure responsible and ethical data use. Okay, the second most important method to do that is ethical data practices, advocating transparency in data collecting, ensuring informed consent, and employing data anonymization techniques to use consumer data ethically is one of the finest way to do that. The third important method is privacy by design, incorporating privacy controls into data systems to safeguard privacy throughout the data lifecycle, including data minimization and secure storage solution, plays a very important role in doing this. And we can also take data security measures like collaborating with cybersecurity experts to implement encryption, multi-factor authentication, and regular security audits to prevent data breaches and unauthorized access is one of the finest way for doing this. And also promotion of ethical data use, like creating data governance framework and ethical data usage guidelining to foster a culture of responsible data handling and ethical decision making within the organization plays the very crucial role in handling the data in an ethical manner. So these are the various factors or methods with the help of which we can ensure that we can handle the data ethically and responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll go straight to the chat. I can see there are so many questions before we move on to our next panel. Just a minute. For our panelists, there are a number of questions on the chat. Please feel free to answer the ones that you can. There's a question here for Big Ted. The Consular General said the government is committed. How can a Kenyan like myself, who's used to working in the US, maneuver in Kenya? It's hard enough just to get an ID and passport. Then we have, that's Joshua Kenya Code. Then we have a question from James Joroge again. Has the Kenyan Embassy or relevant government agency incorporated data analysis to better understand the needs of Kenyans in the diaspora? Specifically, have they gathered information on the number of Kenyans residing in each state, their respective careers, available investment opportunities, and is this data accessible, updated on the embassy website and other official platforms for the benefit of the Kenyan in the diaspora? I'm assuming this is for Mr. Ngonga. Then we have another question from, just a minute, Liz. Does data privacy and ethical use apply to the hypothesis and validation stage of building a product before starting a startup? This is for Mr. Anshu. Then we have another question. There's one from a startup. Rose Okech was asking, how can one who's starting their own startups in Kenya get their support to grow? Everyone can answer Rose on that.
Okay, so may I answer first?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I would like to answer Liz. Yes, Liz. So the answer is yes, definitely. Data privacy and ethical use apply to hypothesis and validation stage of building a product as well, because you never know that whatever hypothesis or validation or whatever hypothesis or product model or whatever fundamental data set you have built, that can even like work for you for growing your startup. So at any stage, data privacy is very important, whether it is at a hypothesis level or whether it is at a upper level. Okay, so thank you.
Mr. Ngonga can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Grace. I will try to respond, especially to the one who was asked on how one who is starting their startup in Kenya can get the support to grow. And I would say that it could be beyond actually the government reach to actually get for you that support, but that's why we are encouraging the diaspora who are in this space of emerging technology on how they can assist us to identify some of the venture capitalists who are in the US who are interested in supporting those who want to start to get started in this particular sector. We're also trying to reach out to those venture capitalists in the US who are willing to support startups, but the emphasis currently that is attracting most of them are in fintech, agri-tech, and also the ones that are in the the healthcare sector. So it's actually a continuous exercise. As a government, will play our part, but also the diaspora. Also, we are reaching out to them to see, especially the ones who are on the emerging technologies, how we can leverage on the networks of the diaspora, and also the financial strength and the connections, the skills, so that they can support those who are starting up in Kenya. And I think that's why we have such a forum, so that Sevenet with other networks can actually bring those who wish to invest in the startups, to take up some of these opportunities. Data analysis, we are trying as an embassy to get to know those of us who are in the US. If I'm outside the embassy, immediately I walk up to the office, I'm actually a diaspora. So there are some issues which also affect me personally as a diaspora. And there's need to know those of us who are in the diaspora, where they are, what they are doing, and also how to assist them invest. Apart from working here, we also need to invest here and also to invest back at home. But the challenge also we are facing, most of us arrive here and they're not willing to disclose where they are. There's an embassy portal where people who arrive here are supposed to register, so that we know where they are and what they do, so that if there's any problem, or it's for the purpose also for planning for the diaspora, you know, their number, where they are, what they do, so that if there are programs that they could benefit within the US, whether as citizens or as just migrants who wish to go back, you are able to plan for them. So I think that is it. In terms of investment opportunities, that is in our website on the investment opportunities available, but I also continue to reach out to Kenyans who wish to know the investment opportunities available in the US. If you are an unorganized group, well and good, it's very easy to reach you on some of these forums that I continue to conduct from time to time. So I conduct them upon requests, so that people who come on board are people who are serious and are willing to get information from this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ngonga, for that. Thank you, Mr. Anshu. Thank you, Ambassador Kwaka. That was very informative. It was very interesting. I can see there's still some questions that have not been answered, but like George said, someone else will answer your question in the forum. And Rose, I can see a question about EduTech. Sit tight, there's someone who will address that in the next panel. Thank you so much. We can move on to the next panel. I'd like to introduce my panelists for this session. We have Professor P.K. Wamuyu, an IT professor, Honorable Engineer James Rege, a telecom engineer, and we have Mason Bassett, who's a software developer in EdTech. And then we have Oscar Okwero, a cloud and data security engineer. Karibuni sana, please introduce yourselves. Anyone can start, introduce themselves.
Grace, Patrick has not joined. Maybe you can start with Oscar.
Well, let me introduce myself because
Sure.
I'm
Go
under
ahead.
pressure. My name is James Reggae. I would love to apologize. As you can see, my background is actually a library. I'm at the current country club and I'm under pressure to leave. So I'll be very brief. I'll give my email contact so that I can have questions. But I'm happy to see my friends, Oscar Oquero. I can see another friend of mine, Ben Roberts. But before I go further, I just want to thank Sevenet for introducing such a beautiful forum for especially Kenyans abroad in conducting such a beautiful conference. I think Sevenet, what you're doing will help a lot of students in diaspora, especially Kenyan students. I think you just hit the jackpot. This is great. I'll do a little introduction of myself. I've been in the telecom industry for over 40 years. I started in the US. I was working for International Telecom Organization, Satellite Communications Organization in Washington, DC, 15 years. Then I went to West Africa, Cote d'Ivoire for 4 years to design the African satellite, which I finished. I did the footprint and the communication modems. I took it to France and the satellite was built. African satellite actually eventually sold to some companies in Dubai. From there, I went back to US to join Iridium Satellites. Actually, I was given a job of designing multiplexers that interface the ground segment and the satellite segment. But eventually, they offered me a job to go to UK to start Iridium Africa director, which eventually could not bring to Kenya because, sorry? Kenya did not allow me to start it here, so I took it to South Africa. After that, I went to Tanzania and concocted Vodacom Tanzania from zero. I ran it for 2 years, then came to Kenya, joined politics, then went back to US to join my family. I'm actually from US last night, and I was traveling and asked for permission to be here for a short time. So I just want to say that my background is basically on telecommunications, satellites, GSM, fiber, and all of that. Basically, the most significant one is in 1983, I assisted a gentleman who is now an evangelist at Google called Vint Cerf. I helped him study the TCP/IP across the Atlantic, and it's still in force. TCP/IP is still running in internet. That was one big thing that I did, and of course the Rascom satellite and the Vodacom Tanzania. So basically, my background is in telecommunications. If you want to contact me, I'm on james.reggae@me.com. Right now, I'm the president of SkyMax in Washington, DC area. What we do is 5G SA, 5G standalone. It's a new technology that provides data at very high speed that has very minimal should I actually say that? We have we can, the 5G that we are doing can be even shared with existing networks. So a country like Kenya, we would not be competing with anybody, but we can share our network with all the network operators. That is the latest in 5G standalone. That's what I'm doing in Washington, DC area. Otherwise, I'm ready to be asked questions for a short time before I leave.
Okay, thank you for that in-depth introduction. I wanted to ask you, how has machine learning and AI changed that telecommunication industry from when you started to now that machine learning and AI is gotten into the industry?
Actually, machine learning and AI can play crucial roles in telecommunications. The anomaly detections, predictive analytics, automated threat intelligence, phishing, and all that. These are very important areas that machine learning and artificial intelligence can play. I can see AI experts like Raghuvendra are still here, who can further talk about these things. But what I know about AI and ML, they have played very important roles, and they will continue to play important roles in our lives in the future. Right now, we are working with actually agriculture. AI can be involved seriously in agriculture in this country to detect soil structure, weather, and all that. But I don't know if they are ready to do it. But in telecom, I think most of us here have email addresses, and you can see that people you don't even know send you information. But these are the work of AI, ML, to find out which ones are bogus, and then they send them to other boxes and not to your regular inbox. So they can continuously monitor network traffic and detect anomalies that and that will deviate from normal behavior, which could indicate potential cyber threats in the networks. Predictive analytics, surely you'll agree with me that historically, data incidental telecom companies can use it to predict and identify potential security threats and vulnerability before they can even exploit or be exploited. Automated threats, I would say AI can help in gathering and analyzing threat intelligence from various sources and, of course, sharing information across systems networks. They can also do phishing detections in machine learning. Models can analyze emails and, of course, as I was saying, detect phishing attempts, protect users from malicious links and attachments, and put them in different boxes. I think for now, that's what you can look at, the benefits of ML and AI.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
There is an interesting question in the chat. James Joroge is asking, my concern is that some countries are involved in developing satellite technology for others, only to then import the same technologies back to their own countries and charge exorbitant prices. Do you think this practice hinders a country's ability to develop its own indigenous solutions, particularly in the context of satellite technology and space exploration?
I think if you are selling potatoes and you have your customers, there can also be another person selling potatoes, and they can also have other customers. In other words, you can, I mean, there are many Africans abroad that are designing satellites, and then they bring them back to Africa. Currently, I'm also involved in, and of course, I can see Ben Roberts, whom I respect very much. We are trying to teach engineers at Kenyatta University how to model and design satellites and launch them using CubeSats. So in Kenya, I think we are moving very fast towards satellite communications, and very soon we will be doing our own. Maybe I can add that we have the best position in the world for satellite launching or monitoring of satellites being launched from any other country in the world. Why? Because we are geographically situated on the equator, and also around Mombasa, where there's water, you can launch from there, and you can monitor satellites being launched. That is, I don't know if that one answers your question.
James, let us know.
I
if
can't
that
hear you,
answers.
Grace.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry?
Can you hear
Yes,
me
now
now?
I can.
Yes, James, let us
Yes.
know if that answers your question. Still on Honorable Reggae, we've talked about all these technologies, but the biggest question everyone has is data privacy and security. What would you like to say about that? What is being employed in this sector to ensure this data privacy and security?
I believe all telecom operators provide data analytics before they hit you. Yes, as an individual, you don't have to worry about that. But of course, you just have to look at your bill at the end of the month to see who got into your network, or I mean, into your box. And you can have questions to the network operators, because I don't know of any network operator who does not employ ML and AI. Is that answering your question?
Not really. What I'm asking is, in applications, you'll find a lot of data privacy issues when customers' data is either used badly, collected in the wrong way. In what way is AI and machine learning trying to contribute?
In what way? I think, or maybe Oscar Quero can answer that question, or Raghuvendra. But AI is employed in at the switch, at the telecom switch. For example, in Nairobi at Safaricom, you can't go to the switch and find out how they're employing ML and AI. But of course, they are filtering, or they get into your incoming mail, they monitor them. They make sure that you are properly protected from malicious links and attachments. I don't know which other data. Oscar, do you know anything other than that?
So maybe just to add on, I think you have handled it correctly, because that is the infrastructure level data privacy protection, and it's also the at user level, so device level, be it your machine workstation or be it your mobile phone, and also at client application level, be it email applications or maybe your social media accounts. So there are different controls at that level, but at infra level, that's the telcos level, obviously, that is the highest level of analytics where you want to detect threat at that level and provide protection at that level. But it's a tiered protection, both at infra, at local enterprise level, and also at the application level or the user level. So I'll be touching a bit on that later on.
Yeah, you cannot see it act, but it will analyze the patterns that could indicate fraudulent activities like unauthorized access, fake registrations, or even SIM swaps. I mean, AI and ML will always detect that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I can see Harriet has said something about blockchain technology coming in handy to address data privacy and security. Mark, I can see your hand is up. We're not taking questions now. Let me continue still introducing some of the panelists. I'll let you go now, Honorable Rege.
Okay.
We've had an entertaining time with you, very insightful and informative. Asante sana. Maybe
I'm
also
sorry, I have to leave, and I'm under pressure to leave.
Yeah, can you kindly leave your email on the chat? There's someone who is asking for mentorship. He's doing a research on a 5G project and he would like your input on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Oscar, the floor is yours. You can introduce yourself. Oscar,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Now you can hear me now, right? So as mentioned, I'm Oscar Okwero. I am a cloud security engineer with IOM. It's a UN agency. So essentially, I'm in charge of application security, and part of application security is essentially offensive and defensive security operations. And I'm also in charge of the data privacy and protection program within the IOM. So I would leave it at that point. It will be more interesting to go deep with specific questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. You've talked about how AI and machine learning is employed in systems. Give us practical examples of how that is done.
So if I remember well, the question was in the context of cloud applications. And this is unique because cloud, by the virtue that enterprises go cloud, there is the element of shared infrastructure. And there are different levels, the cloud, the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and application as a service. So I will zero down on especially cloud, software as a service, which ideally is all the infrastructure that supports the application are handled by the cloud service provider, and the client is only in charge of probably configuring the applications and using it. So a case in point is, say, your email applications, or maybe your Google storage and all that. So what's unique, and let's say something as simple as your email. A lot of times you have these emails come into your mailbox from this prince, the Nigerian prince, who always has some $1 million in your account, and they're looking for a way to share it. And a lot of times, if you go to your spam, the email is already there. So there's an element within your mailbox that detects what could be classified as spam, and a lot of times they get it right. So what ideally it does, as Engineer Rege just alluded to earlier on, you can put the analytics or ML or AI at different levels, be it at infra level, so you can see the different communication protocols and networks communicating. So a case in point, if say you're a bank based within Kenya and you detect late in the night that there's a lot of traffic, say coming from Saudi Arabia or Philippines, that in itself should raise some eyebrows, because it being in Kenya and it's at night, you'd expect your clientele to be transacting at particular points. So these are some examples of how AI uses essentially a context, and context could be the user behavior, the time zones, the expected traffic levels, to classify something as either suspect, and therefore you can isolate it for further analysis, or better still, in the case of it being a spam, just classify it as spam and quarantine to the spam folder. So that's one practical example. But at infra level, if you speak of some of these cloud service providers, say Azure or AWS or Google Cloud, they have very particular solutions that deal particularly with that. And a case in point is AWS. They have something called Maci, and Microsoft, I think they have Purview. So what it does is, as you onboard your as an enterprise onboards its workload on cloud, then it gives you an option to classify your data according to sensitivity level, according to access protocols or access policies. So based on that, if there's any divergence on that, then it kind of detects that could be a fraudulent transaction. So say somebody is trying to transfer some large amounts of data from location A to location B, so at some wee hours of the night, that in itself should raise a flag, because a lot of times if it's a backup, which ideally that would pass as automatic backup, there needs to be probably at some particular points that are well defined within the workload. So these are some, again, of the examples that could be used to both at user level, that is you using your emails, and at enterprise level to detect potential data loss in the cloud. So that would be one example of that. Actually, these are two.
Thank you, Oscar, for that. A follow-up question is, cyber attacks have become very popular, very persistent. And of course, the same cyber attackers are using machine learning, and they're also using AI. So how do you still combat that? Because they're using the same technologies you're using to try and rebuff them.
So let me begin by being the bearer of bad news, that no system is safe, fully safe, and will ever be 100% safe. And that is true not just in the cyber world, but even in the physical world. So the same crooks you meet in the streets, they have access to the same technologies, and they have just gone to where the people are. So unfortunately, the exposure is more or less the same or even more in the digital sphere. But be that as it may, irrespective of what the attack metrics are used against the normal users or enterprises, there are basic cyber hygiene controls that you as a user or as an enterprise can always employ to provide some degree of security. And I call it degree because, like I said, no system is always safe, and the more you go online, the more you increase the threat landscape, and that will always be a risk. So one of the controls, especially from a cloud perspective, now that most enterprises and people are going online, is that you have to give a very keen attention of the user access control. Because if you look at most of the companies and also the research organizations, the biggest threat to the cloud is one is the misconfiguration of access control. So, like I said, in the cloud, there are different enterprises that are accessing their different work streams, and each of them is configured to only access their workflows. So a lot of times the misconfigurations may lead to either some enterprises exposing their workloads due to insecure configurations, or maybe one organization could be attacked and then the threat actor could do privilege escalation and jump into other workflows. So that risks the whole infrastructure. So as an enterprise, you really have to be sure and define what exactly you need in terms of security configurations if you decide to go on cloud. And once you decide and define that, it needs to be implemented at configuration level. And I always suggest that for any enterprise that can manage, it's always a good idea to maintain a SOC, which ideally gives you a real-time snapshot of your control environment, because like you said, most of these have AI already installed at some level or deployed at some level, so they can detect very probably low-level to mid-level threats, be it malware, be it potential data loss through data leakage through whatever means. And also, it also kind of gives a snapshot of the control environment. And remember, as we always say in cybersecurity, that you can have all the controls, the systems configured right, the user's trained, but the weakest link is normally the user who has access to all this information. And these users get tired, these users get sick, they get bored. And threat actors know that these are the weakest link. And a lot of times, if you look at most cybersecurity reports, it's always some weakness from a user access, or some user is probably undergoing some financial difficulties. Then you get the email from the Nigerian prince who promises you, instant gratification, and you click on that link and suddenly they have access to the whole system. So these are some controls that you really can implement on both cloud and deployments, infrastructure deployments at enterprise, and at physical deployments are the same. But in a nutshell, we can never be safe. No system can ever be safe. So we can only try to limit that risk. And some of the ways to limit or mitigate these risks could be to deploy some other compensating controls. So a case in point, to protect from ransomware, always ensure you have backups and test them, so that in the event that you really need to use them as your last resort, then they're already tested and you can essentially kick your workflows from your backups. And it's also always very important also to train your users. And this should be very constant, because like I said, they're the weakest link and they forget, they get tired, they probably come in angry or happy. So each of these essentially introduce different levels of threat exposure. So all this should be considered in trying to define a control environment that is secure to the enterprise and to the user data.
That was detailed. Now there are two questions, they're almost similar. Liz is asking, as a startup, what's the best cloud computing system they can use? Would they rather host an in-house despite the high cost? This is also similar to James Njoroge's question asking, is it feasible for a country to have, is it feasible for a country to develop its own cloud infrastructure rather than relying heavily on external companies? What's your take on that, Oscar?
The first question on which cloud service provider to go for, I wouldn't say this or that, but it will depend on your use case. And a lot of times the advantage of cloud is that you don't have to incur the initial CapEx cost. So I remember at some point I had a startup, and one of the costs that we could not bear was to set our own infrastructure, get the storage, get the compute, get a data center secure and all that. I mean, we were barely out of campus, so you can imagine all that. So when I remember at that point, we just moved all our workflows to IBM Bluemix. They had a platform called Bluemix. And within a week or two, I think we were already up and testing. And as much as we did not go to production, and that was enough testing environment. So imagine if we had to buy servers and set networks just to test it and realize it's not working. So that would be an unnecessary cost. So depending on your use case and your projected workflows, I always suggest to go with the cloud. Some of it have subscriptions that are even free of charge, I think, depending to some limits. So most of it are enough to at least host a product at beginning level to test it out until you have an MVP that you're sure you want to go to production with. And to the second one on whether a country would rather go with a cloud service, create their own cloud. Governments have different interests, unlike say cloud for commercial cloud service providers who want to profit. So from a government perspective, because most governments would want to essentially know what's happening within the boundaries, then it would make sense to control the environment and see what happens, who is communicating to who, are there potential threats coming within our environment? It is to their interest to know that. But again, the governments may not have the capacity of, say, Microsoft to run so efficiently a cloud infrastructure with all the backup requirements, with all the compute requirements, all the uptime SLA requirements. So as we all know, most governments are not that efficient. So it may be a good idea, but operationally, I think it may face a lot of challenges. So, and remember, most of these, some of these cloud service providers, like say, I think Azure, they have a cloud subscription model that is just for governments. So that is specific to government. So again, instead of say the Kenyan government putting together software engineers to do their own cloud and create an infrastructure, which may take a bit of a while, there's already ready-made for that. Of course, there are other considerations in terms of sovereignty and data privacy requirements, but that is an easier thing to deal with than to create the infrastructure from scratch and to manage it.
Thank you so much for that, Oscar. Maybe we can move on to our next panelist, who's Mason Bassett. Karibu sana, Mason. Welcome to the panel. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
Great. Yeah, so thank you. I feel honored to be amongst such a great group of people. I've been in tech ed for 15 years. I recently started with Sevenet, working with their Code 7 program. And I've been teaching software development and code to students for the last 8 or 9 years. I'll go ahead and kind of speak to, I think the topic is the AI and the machine learning towards education and kind of how it's been approaching us. So I think for most people, the first mainstream AI exposure they've had is recently with OpenAI and ChatGPT. A lot of my students are aware of this, even ones who maybe are just starting out with code and learning how to code, they still are aware of ChatGPT and AI. And then also there's a lot of the art generation and the asset generation AIs that have been approaching us. I think it's going to assist technology in 2 ways. There's 2 categories on how it's assisting the instructor and then how it's assisting the student. As an instructor, I would say my first use with AI as far as assisting software development was GitHub Copilot. And shamefully, I was using it to write documentation for me because I think I'm not the only one that can be dreadful. But then as ChatGPT came in, it started helping a lot of my coworkers and peers designing code and help debugging code and stuff. So I think the main pushback in the education, I think you guys probably have seen in the media, there's a lot of school systems and things who are fighting AI use. And it kind of reminds me of back when I was in school. My teacher would tell me, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket, so you have to learn how to do long division by hand. And then to her surprise, we all have calculators in our pockets and everyone uses calculators all the time, and very few people do long division on paper. So I think the primary goal, the perspective that education systems should have right now is don't prepare the student for what they need to know yesterday, but prepare them for what they need to know tomorrow. And if you have one school system that outlaws AI use, whether it's for software development or other educational venues, and then you have another institution that embraces the AI and lets their students utilize it, we all know which group of students, once they enter the real world, are going to have more tools and are going to be more capable. So when the biggest barrier when instructing is the one-on-one relationship is the best. One teacher, one student, customizing the curriculum and the education for that student. And we know that's not very practical. So the first barrier as an instructor is you have more than one student and they all have different styles of learning and they all have different paces in different areas. So I'm really excited for AI being used for adaptive learning and predictive analytics to measure these students and to give a customized learning experience that's specialized for each student to make them advance as far as and as fast as possible. I personally think that the current and the past system of static learning, I think it's dying. I think it's going to be dead, and anybody who doesn't start moving forward is going to be left behind. This adaptive learning experience is going to absolutely give students who are exposed to it advantages that the old system just isn't going to provide. So when it comes to assisting as an instructor, using it to grade papers, or for my case, using it to debug assignments, and it's absolutely helps and speeds up the process. But also I think the biggest tool is going to be the gamification of education using AI and making these kids interested by some kids, you know, they learn better visually, some kids learn better by action. So being able to use AI as an assistant to be able to provide that custom education for each one is going to be very valuable. The empathy element as an instructor is obviously the most powerful. So I don't think artificial intelligence is going to replace teachers. The human empathy, I don't think AI is there yet. I don't think it's going to get there anytime soon. So the tools as an instructor, I do use it to assist, and I think I'm going to continue using it to assist, but I don't see AI replacing me. Now moving on to the second section of how it's assisting the students. So ChatGPT I've been instructing my students on how to use it to ask questions. I think one of my biggest barriers when I'm instructing is explaining to students, we all have that I'm not good enough, or that insecurity even in our adult lives. So these kids who are starting to learn, they have it especially. So one of the biggest challenges is getting these kids into a situation where they don't need Mr. Mason anymore. You know, they have the skills, they have the tools to code and develop on their own. And ChatGPT has helped them tremendously with that. Sometimes they ask me questions and they're unsure how to move forward. And I tell them, oh, I don't know what to do. And then, through the training, they start using these AI tools to kind of piece together and move forward on their own. And that gives them a sense of independence. And I love that because I feel like artificial intelligence is very democratic. I think it's the most democratic tool that we have available to us right now. All kids, economic situations, different countries, different positions in their lives, right now, ChatGPT is 3.5 is free. And that's so powerful to give everybody an equal education opportunity. And then moving forward with the tools that we're also using, I'll provide some links in case some people aren't familiar with this at the end. But there's a few tools that I've been tinkering around with and looking into. There's Mage GPT and ChatDev. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these tools, but personally, learning how to code, I think everybody who is involved in the tech, you learn quickly that it's almost more valuable and more prominent now. Instead of learning how to code or how to software develop, you're learning how to use other people's code. We've all used Stacked, and we've all used GitHub, and we've looked at other people's code, and we've used other people's code. So using these AI tools is just another extension of that, and explain to these kids how to use these tools to create their products and their ideas is absolutely paramount. But that being said, the biggest fear is the crutch, right? We don't want, the more that they use something, the more they rely on it. I try to focus on concept learn. So if the kids understand the concepts and the basic concepts on how these machine learning and these AI tools are working, they can better utilize them. Another thing I think someone mentioned earlier, they were talking about not all prompts are created equally. This is where I think a lot of education systems are really failing, is they're outlining and trying to get kids in trouble for using artificial intelligence when they should be instructing them, because it is a tool. These kids, I think a lot of the people who aren't using, they think that it's like a one-all answer. You go in and say, hey, write this essay for me, or hey, write this program for me. But anyone who has experience using it, it's not quite that simple. It's a talent to develop, to build, how to create skilled prompts and how to learn from them and how to utilize them. So that's kind of been my main focus, is I've been writing curriculum for the past 8 or 9 years, and I'm having to adapt that curriculum to implement how these kids can learn how to use these tools to, instead of me teaching how to do something, I'm teaching them how to learn. Yeah. Anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I can't see any questions on the chat, but I have a follow-up question. Is there an ethical way of using AI in education? Because you'll find the education system nowadays is about recall, is about rewriting what you've been taught. So ChatGPT can easily do that for you. Is there an ethical way of using ChatGPT, and should the education system also change as a result of now that AI is here?
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a consensus on that, even at the government level at this point. It's kind of the Wild West. It's like when the internet was first released, there wasn't a whole lot of regulation. So my sister, she works with a artificial intelligence prompt generation company where she teaches and helps people develop assets in art. And what she'll tell me is, she'll say, it's really easy to make AI make cool stuff, but it's really hard to make it make the stuff that you want it to make. And then once that's created, if you ask the AI, hey, write me or draw me a picture, in the style of Monet, right? Are we encroaching on rights? Do we have to source Monet, and Monet is obviously passed away. So that's a lot easier. It gets more complicated when you use AI to use sources and data from people who are alive and have maybe intellectual property. As I know now, it's been pretty free. I've yet to hear any cases where anyone's been using AI from that sources data from other people's work. I don't know if anyone else can add in, but I have yet to hear any cases of anyone getting any copyright infringement using these tools. But ethically, that's another thing I don't think there's a consensus on. I think Generation Z is they're the most comfortable generation with being public and having their data being used and having things being used and recut. And I think the older generations are less comfortable with it, for better or for worse. Yeah, so I think that's definitely something that's going to be a huge pressing issue. There's definitely not a consensus on it yet, I don't think. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you have. There are around 3 questions for you.
Oh, yeah.
One, One is about, do you foresee a potential reduction in the cost of learning to the extent that instructors may not need to invest as much time and effort as before in delivering education content and support?
Yeah, so these tools are already coming out and they're going to get even better. But with adaptive learning and these predictive analytics of these kids customizing their education, it's absolutely going to give, for example, a skilled teacher can teach a class of 20. And then in the future with AI assisting, those numbers could go way up, which obviously from an economic standpoint is going to be very beneficial. There is some concerns that I have, and I think other people have. For example, OpenAI, I think people forget the reason why they're named OpenAI is because their original company mission was to create open source artificial intelligence tools for everybody. That has since been changed. 3.5 is still free. But I think there's a growing fear of these companies are scratching and scraping to try to control this power. And then legally too, there's some other fears. I've heard of a case where people were using lawyer AIs to help defend themselves in legal situations. And I heard one case of a judge ruling that out, saying they weren't allowed. So kind of regulations and infringements and companies trying to capitalize and put paywalls up on using this technology is scary. What we don't want AI to end up being a tool for only upper class people. That would further divide all of, I think, the global issues that we have today. So I think that's something that everyone should really be aware of, that yes, it has the potential to really making cost-effective, high quality education for everybody around the world. Absolutely. But is it going to play out that way? I think that depends on governments and company policies.
Thank you for that, Mason. Fred is asking, what are the ethical approaches to using AI in educational research?
Yeah, so it's the Wild West right now. I tread carefully. I think for one, you guys were speaking earlier. It's interesting on hearing how people are using AI and machine learning to protect us and for security. But then there's also the other side where it's a tool, and a tool is only does good based on the person using it. So the bad people can use it too. It's the same. I'm kind of taking in the same stance as when I'm teaching education, how to software development, and explain to these students how to do things for educational purposes. And then these students also, after they work with me for a while, they develop skills where they have skills to do things maliciously if they wanted to, right? We know like the world is ran by tech. So once these kids learn software development, they have the skills to do things that aren't exactly ethical. So I kind of just have been sticking with the same kind of teaching where I teach morals along with as I'm teaching skills, because skills is power and power can be used for good or for bad. As far as for sourcing, it's really difficult. I think that's kind of I think ChatGPT in particular has had people suing them based on the data that they're using, right? So the students aren't necessarily, let's say for code, for example, the students aren't exactly stealing somebody else's code, but we know that ChatGPT is trained on all of the code on the internet. So it gets it from somewhere, and the AI is only good as the data that it's trained on and the models that it has. So that's a complex question. I don't exactly have a clean answer.
Thank you so much for that, Mason.
Yeah.
I'll hand this over to Aisha. Maybe we could go through the chat and see if there's anything we've missed, and then you can hand it over to Omar. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and post those links for you guys to kind of check out these tools that the students are using these days.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being so participative. I've seen a lot of questions in the chat from the team. Thank you to all panelists and everyone who has given a contribution. I would like to open the floor to every attendant. If you have any question, comment, or something you'd like to say, this is your opportunity to also share your thoughts. Any comments from the audience?
Hi, Tatus Karaoke, a data analytics business analyst at BNY Mellon, the GOAT of NESB, and also president of KISA, Kenya System Association. And I just want to say that this was very insightful. This is my first time attending such a session. And I speak for many when you say that, let's hold this as more, let's continue educating each other on this tech spectrum. Thanks to the speakers, Mason, James in absentia, etc. And yeah, God bless you all. This is just the start of many things.
Thank you very much, Karuki. It's a pleasure also on our end to be able to bring all these minds together. Anyone else who would like to say something?
Yeah, my name is Nimiri from Kenya, Mombasa. I'm developing an educational app for the local community, and I would like to get support in database security, that is real-time database security. The languages which I'm using are Java, Android, real-time console. Yeah, that's it. So if I can get support on how to mitigate security in the thank you.
Thank you. For anyone else, in the team who needs support in any of the topics that were discussed or shared today, please leave your contacts on the chat, or you can also write to us info@sevenet.net, and we'll be able to connect you to the right resources regarding the various subjects. Anybody else who would like to talk before we close?
Hello there.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Josh?
Yes, I'm Jojo Uma Otieno. Hello, are you getting me?
Yes, we can hear you, Josh.
Okay, I'm Jojo Uma Otieno. I'm the chairman of Innovator Society of Kenya. I want to thank the organizers for this session. At least it is an eye-opener. Next time, let's involve all the innovators. I have them in my list. So it was a short notice, but let's have them involved here so that we can see what we can do for future, because Kenya is a techies company. Is a country which has great innovations and futuristic for America and for worldwide. So let's involve everybody here whenever we have such a session. Thank you, organizers.
Okay, thank you. So on behalf of the Sevenet team, we'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude for all who attended this session. We do hope that it's been informative, that you've gotten an opportunity to learn on the various subjects that we've shared today. This is just the beginning. It's the first of many to come. Our mission is to empower the African community in general, to be able to network, share ideas, extend opportunities so that we are all able to grow and learn from each other. So if you have any ideas or suggestions on how we can make the next one even bigger, more productive, please feel free to connect with our team. Secondly is to thank all the panelists for sharing your knowledge and also your time to give us all the ideas that you did today, but also to educate us on the various opportunities that are out there in the tech industry. And lastly, we would like to showcase the roadmap. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a lineup of other virtual forums that we've organized. The next one is going to be for the ladies in the house. So it's going to be a tech forum targeting women across the globe, and we plan to organize this in the next couple of weeks. and we will share the information in our social media platforms, in our website. Please be on the lookout, and feel free to connect with us and bring on board any other suggestions or ideas that can make us even develop more productive webinars and sessions in the near future. So with that said, I would like to hand over the session to Omar to officially close the session.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay. So I'm not sure there's an echo I'm hearing somewhere. Okay, I think now it's all right. First, I would wish to thank I want to thank all the presenters, especially the moderators, for the well done job. I also want to thank our panelists who managed to join us today. I want to thank sincerely the people who managed to attend this forum. Everyone who participated, thank you so much. As Sevenet, we are working hard to ensure that technology is moved to the next level. The people who want to join tech, those who have interest, those who aspire to be in tech, and anyone out there who knows someone who wants to be in tech, we want to welcome you. Let's start this journey. It's a journey that we started and we intend to move it to the next level. Like she said, Aisha said that this is just but one of the many things that we're planning to do. In the next 3 months, we are going to let our ladies join the forum. We are going to allow everyone to be in this journey that we're working together.
You are mute.
I want to acknowledge the trainers who are here. I think I saw Ken in the meeting. Dr. Mursi was also there. And many more trainers that we have. I want to thank you for attending this session. There are many questions that are in the group, but we may not be able to address all of them at the moment. So please, I will ensure that all the questions that you have there are written down and they reach the people, the panelists who are going to address them to you. So please mute your mic. Okay. So I'm saying that all the questions that you have here will all be addressed. So we'll have your name written down. I have your contact if possible. Please reach out to us and let's address any other question that you may have even after this session. Allow me to officially close this forum, the first edition of Kenya US Tech Forum, sponsored by Sevenet. Thank you so much. Have a good night, good day, good evening, wherever you are. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So watu wangu wa TikTok, mimi ni Ouma. Nikiwa huku nchi za Uingereza. Hapa si Uingereza by the way, inaitwa Kenya, America, I don't know, Americani. So we just finished a very important session, first of its kind. That is Kenya US Tech Forum, sponsored fully by Sevenet, which is a tech company registered in Washington State, USA. Is a company that has 3 products. It trains adults on data analytics. It has training sessions for kids, coding classes for kids. And then we also have a platform that offers you information and the products that you may need, especially if you are in this foreign country. It also acts as a marketplace, like an online hub where you can be able to meet the people who sell things you want, and of course they will be able to meet you. So it's a marketplace where you're going to meet the people supplying what you're looking for. So we are looking forward to enrolling people who want to get into our training starting the next week. We have coding class intake is going on. Visit our website. Our website is www.sevenet.net. That is Sevenet is 7ETT.net. Sevenet.net is our website. Our information, we have our phone number is +1 425 766 4431. You can always get the information. Can also be sent through our email address, which is info@sevenet.net. Please reach out. Let's walk this journey together. We're looking forward to working with you shoulder to shoulder until we get to the destination. Let's make the next Zuckerberg. Let's make the next Bill Gates from this forum. Thank you so much and be blessed.
Thank you and welcome.
Yeah, so the forum is officially closed. You can either network or live at your own flavor. Thank you.
Thank you too.